Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Are you able to see the screen? Yeah, please respond. Are you able to see the
Yes,
screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Yes.
Okay. So today let us see the characteristics of a series motor. Okay, series motor. So as I told you that torque is proportional to flux into Ia and speed is proportional to Eb by phi. Is it right? So here, have you got this one? So previously, yeah, see here. If you see the torque equation, see, so if you see the torque equation, torque TA is armature torque is equal to 0.159 phi Z Ia P by A. Since ZP and Ia are fixed for a given machine, torque is proportional to phi into Ia. Torque is proportional to this phi and Ia. So Z P Ia will be fixed for a given machine. So torque is proportional to phi into Ia. So next, if you see the AB equation, AB you know phi Z N P by 60A. So for a given machine, uh, Z P and Ia will be constant. So here if you see this, to rearrange this equation, n can be written like this. So for a given machine, A Z P will be constant. So here n can be written as k into Eb by phi. So here n is proportional to Eb by phi. These two are very important. So these two expressions are very important for finding the characteristics of any DC motor. So if you see the characteristics of a DC motor, so if you see a shunt motor, so torque is proportional to phi into Ia. Torque is proportional to Ia as flux is constant. So here there is a linear relationship between the torque and the armature current. So here torque TA versus Ia, you can see here straight line, and here TSH Yeah, students, thank you for waiting. So here this I discussed in the last class. Okay. So torque versus Ia is a linear straight line, and here TSH is the shaft torque. So TSH will be less than TA due to friction between the shaft and the bearings. So next, speed versus Ia. So here you know that speed is proportional to EB by phi. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So speed is proportional to EB by phi. So speed is proportional to EB as phi is constant. So EB you can write as V minus IRA. Okay, here um, as armature resistance is very small, IARA drop is small, very small when compared to V. So here speed can be assumed almost constant. I have taken only few values here. So this is the no load speed and full load speed, and the speed. If you increase the load, the speed decreases slightly. Okay, I have taken I have taken less values on the y-axis here. So between these, there are more values here. Between these two lines, there are more values. I have not taken that one. Uh, so here to show the difference between the no load speed and the full load speed. So actually this reducing speed will be very less. So here the speed is almost constant from no load to full load. So I naught is the no load current, and here somewhere here you can see the full load current. So here the applications where constant speed is required, there you can use DC shunt motor. So here constant speed motor, shunt motor is a constant speed motor. Okay, there is a slight change in speed of the shunt motor from no load to full load. So hence it is essentially a constant speed motor. So the only disadvantage of this is it has a low starting torque. So the applications where torque is not high and the speed required is almost constant, in that places, in that situations, we can use this shunt motor. Next, coming to characteristics of a series motor. So after this, I am going to give the applications exactly where we are using different types of motors. First, know about the characteristics. So here, I have noted all the applications. So here, if you see a shunt motors are used where the speed is required to maintain almost constant from no load to full load. Okay, so industrial uses, lathes. So lathes means wood cutting machines. Next, drills, spinning and weaving machines, etc. So that is in textile industry. We can use DC shunt motors. Okay. Now coming to series motors. So let us see the characteristics. So here, so torque is proportional to phi into Ia, and it can be written as torque is proportional to Ia square. Why Ia square? Flux is proportional to Ia. So here the flux is proportional to Ia. So the field current is Ia here. So here flux is proportional to field current. So flux is proportional to Ia. So in this case, torque is proportional to Ia square. Now here is, as the load increases, torque increases. So here the places where uh, torque requirement is high, there we can use a series motor. Now coming to the speed. Speed versus EB, speed is proportional to EB by 5. So here EB can be written as V minus IA into RA minus RSC. See here, RA plus RSC. As RA and RSC are in series, so here EB is equal to V minus drop in series field winding and drop in the armature winding due to armature resistance. Now here these two values will be very small. Okay, so this can be treated as constant. And here finally speed is proportional to 1 by Ia. Now here, so as torque is proportional to Ia square.
So screen not visible,
Torque
sir.
is proportional to, yes. Yeah, someone is telling something.
The screen not visible, sir.
Screen.
Presentation, sir. Presentation is not.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Okay, let us see the. Okay. So characteristics of series motor. Have you seen this one? Okay, now let us see the characteristics of series motor. Okay, torque is proportional to phi into Ia. This you already know. Now here torque can be written as torque is proportional to Ia square. So as flux is proportional to Ia, so here the current flowing through the field winding is Ia. So flux will be proportional to Ia. Okay, you know that flux is proportional to field current. So here the field current is equal to Ia. So flux is proportional to Ia. So torque can be written as torque is proportional to Ia square. Now coming to speed. Speed is proportional to EB by 5. EB you can write V minus Ia into RA plus RSA. Okay. So here you have RA, RSC, V minus Ia into RA plus RSC gives EB. Now here phi is proportional to Ia.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు ప్లస్ 5 అనేది ఇన్వర్స్లీ ప్రపోర్షనల్ టు అయ్యే కదా సార్
Yes, once again.
ఐఏ స్క్వేర్ అని అన్నారు కదా సార్
Yes.
ఫ్లక్స్
So
అనేది
here
ఇన్వర్స్లీ
torque is proportional to Ia square. As flux is
పైన
proportional.
అబౌ స్టెప్ సార్
This is okay. Now here coming to this second one, first one you are having doubt.
ఫస్ట్ వన్ సార్ టార్క్
Okay.
డైరెక్ట్లీ ప్రపోర్షనల్ టు 5 ఇంటూ ఐఏ కదా సార్
Yes.
మీన్స్ 5 ఈజ్ ఇన్వర్స్లీ ప్రపోర్షనల్ టు ఐఏ కదా సార్
Why?
సార్ ఫర్ సపోజ్ టీఏ బై ఐఏ డైరెక్ట్లీ ప్రపోర్షనల్ టు 5 అని రాయొచ్చు కదా సార్
See here, you see the first one. Torque is proportional to flux into Ia. How you got this one? From the torque equation, right? Is it right? The first one, torque is proportional to phi into Ia.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next. So phi is proportional to Ia because the current, the flux is proportional to the current. So if the current is more, the flux produced by the winding will be more. Now here, torque can be written as torque is proportional to Ia square. Flux can be replaced with Ia. So Ia square. Next, speed is proportional to EB by 5. So EB can be written as V minus Ia into RA plus RSA. Now phi can be replaced with Ia. See here, as flux is proportional to Ia, so flux can be replaced with Ia. So here proportionality. Now here, the RA value and the value of RA and RSC will be less. You already know that the value of armature resistance is less and the resistance of the series field winding will be less. So here this will be almost constant, and here the speed can be written as proportional to 1 by Ia. This Ia remains as it is. So here this can be replaced by a constant. Now here let us see this curves, characteristics curves. So first torque versus Ia. So torque is proportional to Ia square. So here you are going to get a parabola. Next, speed is proportional to 1 by Ia. Speed is inversely proportional to Ia. That means if Ia increases, what happens? If Ia increases, speed decreases, right? So here n is proportional to 1 by Ia. If Ia increases, speed reduces. Okay. So here you are going to get this one. So as Ia increases, speed reduces. Hyperbola you are going to get. Similarly, you are going to get speed versus torque as hyperbola. So here, how you got this means, so torque is proportional to 1 by under root t. So torque can be increased by increasing the Ia. Okay, if Ia increases, then only torque increases. Okay, this will be same as this one only. So slight change, almost similar, but there is a slight change in the curve. So here also you are going to get a hyperbola. Now here, conclusions. So as torque is proportional to Ia square, right? So here you are going to get high starting torque. So initially you know that motor will be drawing more current. Okay. Initially as EB is less, okay, initially when the rotor is at stationary, EB will be 0 because speed is 0. So here you have EB equal to so you know that V equal to EB plus IARA. Okay. Now here initially if EB equal to 0, then what about IA? IA equal to V by RA. This will be very high. Okay. If IA is high, torque will be high. If IA is high, torque will be high. So here you are going to get high starting torque. High starting torque. It is a variable speed motor. If the load here, you can see here, the speed is varying. The speed is not constant. Okay, it is varying with the load. If current increases, speed reduces. It is a variable speed motor. If decreases, it's automatically raised, and vice versa. If a load decreases, speed increases. If load increases, speed decreases. Here, as load increases, so load is proportional to Ia. If load increases means current increases. Okay. Always, if the load increases, current increases. Here, next, as the current increases, speed decreases. Suppose if load decreases, load means current. If load decreases, automatically current decreases. So here you can keep in mind that what is a motor? Motor means, so here if you take a motor, so what is the input you are going to give? Electrical power input. And what is the output here? Mechanical. So if more mechanical power means who has to supply? So here we have to increase the electrical power input. If more load means more electrical power will be drawn from this motor. As the voltage is constant, current increases. Okay, voltage is constant. So here VA is the power. If mechanical power output increases means electrical power input increases. As voltage is constant, current increases. So here as load increases, automatically current increases. So here it is a variable. Okay, it is a variable speed motor. If the load decreases, its speed is automatically raised. Okay, and vice versa. How this happens? Load decreases means speed increases according to this curve. Load decreases means speed increases. Okay. So here from here to, let us have from here to here. What happens to the load? Load decreases. What happens to the speed? Speed increases. From here to here, if we take a load decreases means current speed increases. Vice versa. If current increases means, that means if load increases means current increases. If current increases means speed reduces. Okay, this okay. Now coming to the third point, at no load, the armature current is very small. At no load means we have not connected to the motor shaft, we have not connected any load. Okay, so rotor is rotating freely. You have not connected any belt or anything to that shaft. That means at no load. At no load, the armature current is very small. Okay, and so is the flux. So is the flux. So armature current is small means flux also reduces. Here in series motor, flux is proportional to Ia. As so as current is small means flux also small. So here at no load, the armature current is very small. No load means armature current will be very small, and so is the flux. So flux is also small. Hence, the speed increases to an excessive high value. You know that speed is proportional to 1 by 5. So here, speed is proportional to Ia or phi. Okay. If this is constant, speed is proportional to 1 by 5. Is it clear? In other words, we are writing instead of phi, we are writing Ia. So here, if the flux is small, what happens to the speed? Speed goes to a dangerously high value. Okay, that's why we must not start a DC series motor without any load. We must not start a DC series motor without connecting any load. After connecting the load only, we have to switch on the supply to a DC series motor. So here, this is dangerous for a machine which may be destroyed due to centrifugal forces set up in the rotating parts. Okay, therefore a series motor should never be started at no load. However, to start a series motor, mechanical load is first put and then the motor is started. And then the motor is started. Okay. So here you have advantages and here. So what are the advantages of this DC series motor? We are going to have high starting torque. Okay, as torque is proportional to Ia square, we are going to have more starting torque. And here the speed goes to a dangerously high value for low values of current. At no load, as the armature current is very small, so the speed goes to a dangerously high value. That's why we must not start a DC series motor without a load. Always we have to connect a load and then we can start a DC series motor. So next, coming to the compound motors. So compound motors, it will be having a series field winding and a shunt field winding. So here it will be having the advantages of both a series motor and a shunt motor. So here compound motor will be having the advantages of both series motor and shunt motor. So what are the advantages of a shunt motor? So constant speed motor, but it will be having a low starting torque. Coming to a series motor, high starting torque, but the speed goes to a dangerously high value for low values of current. That means under no load condition, the speed goes to dangerously high value. So here, if you see a shunt motor, constant speed motor. If you see a series motor, high torque. So both these advantages can be obtained by using a compound motor. So here, and the characteristics lies between the series and shunt motor. Now coming to these characteristics, here I am going to show all the characteristics of a characteristics of all types of motors. So first one, torque versus Ia. So if you see a shunt motor, here this dotted one, see this. So dotted line or dashed line. So you can see here the shunt motor. So shunt motor will be having a torque, speed, torque and Ia characteristics as a straight line. So there is a linear relationship between the torque and the current, armature torque and armature current. There is a linear relationship. You are going to get a straight line between. So graph between TA and IA is a straight line. That is for shunt motor. Now coming to series motor, as the torque is proportional to Ia square, so you are going to get at a parabola. So here, if current increases by a small value, so the current increases rapidly, the torque increases rapidly. If current increases by a slight value, the torque increases rapidly. Okay. Now coming to the cumulatively compound. So cumulatively compound, that is series field and shunt field will be helping each other. So they both will be in same direction. So that is a cumulatively compound. So here the characteristics we are going to get between series and shunt. So here these are the characteristics. And if you take a differential compound, so here the series field opposes the shunt field. So here net flux reduces, and here this is the characteristics of a differential compound DC motor. Next, coming to the speed versus Ia. So middle you have speed versus Ia. Here also the characteristics will be between series and shunt. So let us take the shunt motor. So here this is constant. This is the no load characteristics of a shunt motor. Or just here this is the no load speed, and here for a shunt motor there is a slight decrease in the speed. Or here this is the, if this is the, this represents a constant speed. So these are the characteristics of a shunt motor. Second one, sorry. So shunt motor, the speed reduces slightly with increase in the load. Okay, so it is treated as almost constant shunt. Now coming to the series, so this is the series motor. So the speed reduces with the increase in Ia. So with increase in Ia, speed reduces, but torque increases. See here. The speed reduces with increase in Ia, you are going to get hyperbola. And coming to the compound, cumulatively compound. So here the characteristics will be between series and shunt. So here this is a compound motor. So this one, this is for compound motor. And here this is cumulatively compound. Okay, compound means by default it is a cumulatively compound. Next we have the differential compound. So here differential, this is for differential. Okay, so as the current increases, you can see here speed increases. This is for differential compound. So next one is the speed versus torque. So here you can see similar relationship. So here instead of Ia you have TA. The graph will be almost similar. So torque can be increased only if flux and Ia are increased. Okay. So the speed reduces. So as this is similar to previous graphs. Okay. So next, coming to the applications. So shunt motors. If you see a shunt motor is used for constant speed applications. So here Shunt motors are used where speed required to maintain almost constant, okay, from no load to full load. So industrial use, lathes means wood cutting machines, drills, spinning and weaving machines. So that is textile. In textile industry, we are going to use this shunt motors due to its constant speed. Now coming to series motors. So series motors are used where large starting torque is required. Example, electric traction. Electric traction means um, it means electric trains. So here in electric trains, previously we used to have DC series motors. So DC series motors are used in electric traction. That is in electric trains. Nowadays, three-phase induction motors are used. Okay. So previously we used to have DC series motors to run these electric trains. Next, cranes. So where high torque requirement is there. Okay, cranes, elevators. Okay. So here, the situations where high torque is required, there we use DC series motors. Next, compound motors. So here, one of the disadvantage of this series motor is if the load decreases suddenly, what happens? The speed goes to a dangerously high value, and due to centrifugal forces set up in the rotor, so here there will be damage to the motor. So here, so due to so here the series motor may get destroyed due to centrifugal forces set up in the rotating parts. So here always load must be connected. So here this disadvantage can be overcome by using a compound motor. So compound motor, so very useful motor. So here it is having the advantages of both series and shunt motor, and it will be overcoming the disadvantages of series and shunt. Okay, so here shunt motors are used where a fairly constant speed is required with irregular loads or suddenly applied heavy loads. So here what happens if the load decreases suddenly, what happens? So even if ia reduces, the flux due to shunt field winding will be there, and that will keep the speed in a limited value. Okay. So here compound motors are used where a fairly constant speed is required with irregular loads. Loads means load current will be changing. So here the load will be changing. Sometimes there will be heavy load, sometimes there will be no load, sometimes there will be change in the load, sometimes there will be increase in the load, decrease of the load. So that means irregular loads. Next, suddenly applied heavy loads. So here, if a heavy load is applied, so we have if a heavy load is applied, what happens? Ia increases. Okay, if Ia increases, torque increases. So why torque increases? Here we have the series field winding. So as the flux increases with Ia, and torque is proportional to Ia square. So we are going here, the compound motor will be providing high torque, and it will be going to maintain the speed almost constant, fairly constant speed. So here these types of these compound motors are used in punch presses, punch presses, crushers, ice making machines, printing presses. So here, so if you take a printing machine, so after pressing, again what happens? The load reduces. While pressing, current increases. Okay. So here irregular loads. So the load will not be constant always, and the load will be changing. So in that cases, we are going to use compound motors. So punch presses, that means hole punch presses. So once a hole is made to a sheet, the load decreases, right? And the speed will not go to dangerously high value because we have flux due to shunt field winding. So this is about the applications of different types of DC motors. If you have any doubts in this applications, you can ask me. Or you can type in the chat box. So if you see the syllabus, okay. So here in your syllabus, you have applications are there. So applications, you can write this one. Okay. Characteristics. If you know the characteristics, then only you can remember the applications. So principle of operation is there. Okay. By this fourth unit is completed. So before going to start fifth unit, if you have any doubts in the fourth unit, I will explain now regarding motors or generators. Okay. So here in fifth unit, you are going to study the components of LT switchgear. Now, what is meant by switchgear? What is meant by LT? LT means low tension, or low tension means low voltage. Low tension or low tension means low voltage. So the voltage less than 400 volts. The voltage less than 400 volts is taken as LT, and the voltage greater than 400 volts is taken as HT. So here you have components of LT switchgear. That means 230 volts single phase supply. Whatever the voltage, what is the voltage? 230 volts single phase supply. So 230 comes under low voltage, low tension. So components of LT switchgear. Now switchgear. What is meant by switchgear? So the apparatus used for switching and controlling and protecting of electrical equipment. So switchgear means the apparatus used for switching, controlling and protecting. So mainly we are going to see the protecting equipment. Okay, protecting equipment. So switchgear means the apparatus used for switching, controlling, controlling and protecting. So switching means you have MCBs, okay, and they will also provide protection. So mainly we are going to see this protection. Next, switch fuse unit, switch and fuse unit, and MCB. So what is the difference between the fuse and the MCB? Fuse means when a overcurrent occurs, the fuse will melt. So here, when a overcurrent occurs, when a current increases, above a rated current, so the wires may melt and get damaged. and a short circuit occurs. Okay, so here, so when a current increases to a high value, the fuse wire, whatever the fuse wire, so the fuse wire, it is mentioned like this, whatever the fuse wire is there, that will melt and it will break, and the power supply will be interrupted. Now coming to the MCB. MCB means miniature circuit breaker. We are going to study MCB in detail. Okay, so a miniature circuit breaker. So circuit breaker means it can close the contacts and it can open the contacts. So when a overcurrent occurs, the circuit breaker contacts open and the supply will be interrupted. Again, you can switch on the supply uh, just by switching on the button. Just so I will show the diagram also. So I will show afterwards. So here for replacing the fuse wire, it will take some time. So we have to open the switch. Um, we have to replace the fuse wire, and we have to again put the fuse into its place. So for that it takes time. So MCB means, so once the MCB contacts get open, then we are going to call it as tripping off. So once the MCB trips, we can remove the load and we can switch on the MCB again. Again also, if the MCB trips, we have to check for other problems. We can check the problems. So here we can reduce the time. So here in a fuse, we have to replace the fuse wire once it breaks. So it is time taking. So here it makes our work very easy. So if there is a fault, the MCB will trip. It will trip, and we can remove the load, and we can get the power supply by switching on the MCB. So ELCB, MCCB will be there. So types of wires and cables. Earthing, what is meant by earthing? So earthing means we are going to connect the metal parts of a equipment to ground. Suppose if here on the metal parts, what happens if you take any refrigerator, okay, if there is no earthing, then what happens on the metal parts of the equipment? So charges will be appearing, and once if you have earthing, the charges will go to the ground. Okay, so there will be no charge on the metal parts if earthing is made. If earthing is not made, so sometimes charges appear on the metal parts, and if a person touches the equipment, he will get a shock. So earthing. Next, types of batteries. So you are going to study what are the types of batteries and important characteristics for batteries, and elementary consumptions of here elementary calculations for energy consumption. So next one is the most important one, power factor improvement. So power factor improvement. So we know that power is equal to VI into VI cos phi. What is cos phi? Power factor. This can be written as VI into power factor. Cos phi is nothing but power factor. So if power factor is less, so P can be written as VA cos phi. Okay, cos phi can be written as power factor. If power factor reduces, what happens? For getting the same amount of power, I increases. If power factor reduces, current increases. And if current increases, losses increases. Okay, So if power factor reduces, current increases for getting the same amount of power. So here if current increases, losses increases. So here efficiency reduces, and also so here transmission losses. So power is transmitted through transmission lines and distributed through distribution lines. So in all the lines also the current increases. So here efficiency reduces by large amount. So here there are more power losses, efficiency reduces. Okay, so in order to avoid this, we are going to improve this power factor. Okay, by connecting the capacitors. Okay, we are going to improve the power factor. If power factor is made near to 1, if power factor is made near to 1, so then current reduces. So power factor improvement is very important. So here I will show MCB. Are you able to hear the voice? Yeah, please respond.
Very low, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So here this is a MCB, miniature circuit breaker. Okay, so you have a bimetallic strip here. This is a bimetallic strip. So here when heavy current flows, the bimetallic strip it will bend and it will you can see
and one hand-operated on-off lever. In an MCB, current first enters through inlet power terminal to bimetallic strip, then to current coil or thread coil, then to moving contact, then to fixed contact, and lastly, current leads through outlet power terminal. Here, you see all these are arranged in series. More current flows for a long time in MCB. The bimetallic strip becomes overheated and formed. This formation of bimetallic strip causes placement of latch point. The moving contact of the arranged by means of pressure. This latch point in such a way that a little displacement of latch causes release of spring and makes the moving contact move for opening the MCB.
so this is the off position. So, okay, this is the off position. The lever is in off position. So down means off. This is off, right?
Current coil or tip
This is on.
coil is placed in such a manner that during short circuit fault, the MMF of that coil causes its plunger to hit the same latch point and make the latch to be displaced. Hence, during short circuit fault, the MCB will open in same manner. Again, when the miniature circuit breaker or MCB is required to be switched off manually, the operating lever of the switch is operated by hand. When we do so, same latch point is displaced, and as a result, moving contact is separated from fixed contact, and the MCB becomes empty.
See here. Are you able to see the mouse pointer? So this is the moving contact, right? This is the fixed contact.
So whatever may be the operating mechanism, that means due to overload, short circuit fault or due to manual operation, actually the same latch opens and same deformed spring is released. And this is ultimately responsible for movement of the contact. A miniature circuit breaker is always provided with arc splitters, giving separation of moving and fixed contact.
So can you see an arc? This is the arc. Arc formation occurs between this moving contact and the fixed contact. So you can see the arc.
There may be a high chance of arc, and this arc goes up to the arc runner and enters into arc splitters and is finally quenched. When we switch on an MCB, we actually reset the displaced operating latch to its previous on position. Thank you.
So I will send the link of this video. You can download and you can once again listen. So just have a so just have a fast revision of this three-phase induction motor. So two types: squirrel cage induction motor and a slip ring induction motor. So you can see here squirrel cage induction motor. This is a squirrel cage induction motor, and here you can see here the rotor is having a will be having a rotor conductors, and here the rotor conductors are given a slide skew. So you can see here they are not perpendicular to the ring. Okay, so this is done in order to avoid the magnetic locking between the stator teeth and the rotor teeth. And here you can see the end rings. So next you can see all the parts here. So rotor, this is the stator. Inside this you have this rotor. This is the three-phase voltages applied to stator winding. So due to this you are going to get the rotating magnetic field. And here this is the squirrel cage induction motor. So you can see here rotor, this is the rotor and this is the stator. and rotor conductors and a stator winding here. So the stator winding is made up of conductors. So here you can see a rotor and the squirrel cage here. This is squirrel cage rotor. You can see slots on the rotor. On the slots you are going to have these conductors, and these are the two end rings and a slip ring induction motor. So on the rotor you are going to have three-phase winding, and it is connected in star, and here these are three lines are brought to these slip rings. The slip rings will be present on the shaft. When the rotor rotates, the slip ring also rotates. Okay, so here the contact with the external resistance is made by these brushes. So brushes will rest on these slip rings, and they will insert resistance to the rotor winding, so the torque increases. So here you can see the slip rings. Slip rings are mounted on the shaft of the rotor. When the rotor rotates, the slip rings also rotate. Into the slip rings, brushes will rest on these slip rings. Okay, this one, brushes will slip. This part is not shown. Up to this part it is shown. Up to slip rings only it is shown in this diagram. So here you can see the brushes. So brushes will rest on this slip rings, and we can add resistance to this rotor winding. So now let us come to this components of LT switchgear. Switchgear. So if you see the syllabus, so first one is components of LT switchgear. So here, okay, here what are the components here? You can see here. So low voltage circuit breakers, low voltage circuit breakers. So that is MCB. Switches, offload electrical isolators, HRC fuses. So EL, so earth leakage circuit breakers. So here ELCB means earth leakage circuit breaker. Next, MCB. What is MCB? Miniature circuit breaker. So next one is MCCB. What is MCCB? Molded case circuit breaker. Okay, molded case circuit breaker. So etc. Here all the accessories required to protect the LV system. Protect the LV system. So this will protect our equipment. Not only our equipment. So our see here. So if in your home, equipments are connected in parallel with the supply. Not only one equipment, many equipments. So here, this MCB, MCCB, this will protect all the equipments in our home or office. Okay. At industry also you can have MCB, MCCB. In a lab, if you in our lab also, in electrical machines lab, you can see MCB. MCCB is also there in our lab. In BW lab, you can see all this. You can see MCB, MCCB, all this you can see in our BW lab. So all these are used. So ELCB, fuses. So all these are used to protect the LV system. So mainly for protection, we are going to use this equipment. So electrical switch gear. So components of LT switch gear. So the apparatus used for switching, controlling and protecting the electrical equipment is called as switch gear. And in this switch gear, we are going to have MCB, MCCB, ELCB, all these we are going to have in switch gear. So the equipment used for switching, controlling and protecting the electrical equipment is known as switch gear. And the components are MCB, MCCB, ELCB, HRC fuses and switches. So switch gear consists of switches, fuses. So here isolators are also there. Switches, isolators. So switch gear consists of switches, isolators, HRC fuses, ELCB, MCB, MCCB, etc. So that is about switch gear. So here, next. So what are the requirements of a switch gear? So first one is, it must be fast acting. So okay, here okay, see here, what is the essential requirement of a protecting equipment or protecting device, protective device. So here the protective device must be fast acting and isolate the faulty part of the circuit immediately. So here the switch gear must only isolate the faulty part, and it must not disturb the other equipment. So here, so others can get the electrical power continuously. Okay, so only the faulty part must be removed by the switch gear, and we have to design the switch gear in such a way that it must isolate only the faulty part, and it must be done at a faster rate. So it must be fast acting and isolate the faulty part of the circuit immediately. Okay, next. It also helps in isolating only the required part of the circuit without affecting the remaining circuit during maintenance. Suppose not only during faults, so if you want to do maintenance, only that part must be isolated and remaining customers must get the power supply. Okay, here this is also the requirement of the switch gear. So first one is it is a fast, it must be fast acting and it must isolate the faulty part of the circuit immediately. So the faults occur due to failure of the insulation or due to short circuit. Okay, next here, while doing maintenance, it must isolate only that part, only the required part, and it must not affect the remaining circuit, so that other people will be getting the power supply continuously. So if you want to do the maintenance, so only that part must be isolated. So if we take a transformer, so generally if you go for high voltage, if you want to do maintenance for the transformer, only the transformer will be isolated and power will be supplied to other places with another parallel line. Okay, if you have two parallel lines, So like that here, we have to design the switchgear in such a way that during maintenance, it has to isolate only the required part of the circuit. So next, protection of electrical installation. So protection for electrical installation must be provided in the event of faults, such as a short circuit. Okay. So when a short circuit occurs due to failure of insulation, so here that must be isolated. That part must be isolated. That equipment must be isolated from the remaining portion. Next, overload. Sometimes overload may occur. Okay. So next, earth falls. So what is meant by short circuit? So here in this phenomena, the current is diverted from its desired path. Okay. Its magnitude may be 10 to 20 times the full load current, and power losses are 100 to 400 times the normal value. Okay. During short circuit, the rate of heat dissipation is very low. See here, during short circuit, the rate of heat dissipation is very low or nil, but the rate of rise of conductor temperature is very high. So here the conductor temperature is very high. Okay. Next, overload. So any increase in the conductor temperature above the recommended maximum temperature of associated insulation is called as overload. So here at your home, if you use a mixer, food mixer, so when a overload occurs, so in some mixers, they will stop automatically, and if you remove the load and if you switch on that button again, it will work. So here an increase in the conductor temperature above the recommended maximum temperature of the associated insulation is called an overload. So what is the main problem of overload means the current increases greater than the rated value and the temperature of the conductor increases. So if insulation fails, so here due to this increase in the temperature, the insulation fails. So if insulation fails, it will result in short circuit. So here this overload is one of the cause for short circuit. Okay. So due to overload, insulation fails, and if insulation fails, the insulation will not operate as insulator. So free electrons will be available. So if insulation fails, electrons will be available and they will conduct, and it will result in the short circuit. So overload is a very slow process and is not a fault, but may lead to fault. So overload is one of the cause for short circuit fault. Short circuit is a fault, right? Overload is not a fault, but it may lead to fault. So this is about overload. Next, earth faults. So here the leakage currents are of small magnitude in milliamperes or few amperes. So there will be leakage currents. So due to small magnitudes, earth leakage currents are not detected by overload or short circuit protecting device. So if not detected, they may result into local heating and short circuit. So here sometimes current will be flowing to the earth. Okay, flowing to the earth, and if they are not detected, they cannot be detected because their magnitude will be less, but they may lead to short circuit. So sometimes at your home, if you touch the tap also, sometimes you are going to get the shock. That is due to earth fault. So if earthing is not provided, that may occur. So earth leakage currents are not detected by overload or short circuit protecting devices. So if not detected, they may lead into local heating and short circuit. So these leakage currents if flowing through human body, see here, human body, or even for few seconds, may be proved to be fatal for any human being. So at your home, earthing must be provided. Okay, it is compulsory. If earthing is not provided, the equipment may give you shock. Sometimes you are going to have earth falls, and this may lead to short circuit. Okay, so it is always recommended, and it must be compulsory. At your home, earthing must be provided. So next, fuse. So you all know fuse. Nowadays, most of them are using MCB. So at some places you might have seen the fuse. Some of you, okay. So fuse. The electrical equipments are designed to carry particular rated value. So rated value of current under normal conditions. So under abnormal conditions, such as short circuit, so abnormal conditions are short circuit, overload, or any fault. Okay, the current rises above its value, damaging the equipment and sometimes resulting in fire hazards. So if more current flows, the equipment gets damaged. So fuse coming to operation under fault conditions. So if overcurrent flows, what happens? The fuse will break. So here the melting point of the fuse will be less. So here when the current is greater than the rated value, the fuse will melt and the circuit will break. Break means the fuse will melt and it will break. And the power supply to the equipment will be disconnected. And we can check the equipment. If there is a problem with the equipment, we can have the repair for the equipment. Now here, what is the fuse? A fuse is a short piece of metal. So metal wire. Fuse is a short piece of metal wire insert in the circuit. So it will be connected in series with the circuit. Okay, which melts when excess current flows. Okay, when excess current flows through it, and thus breaks the circuit. So once it breaks the circuit, there will be no power supply to the equipment. So under normal operating conditions, it is designed to carry the full load current. So under normal conditions, it is designed to carry the full load current. If the current increases beyond this designed value due to any reasons mentioned above, so that may be short circuit or overload or any fault, okay, the fuse melts, isolating the power supply from the load caps to the okay. So next, desirable characteristics of a fuse element. So what are the desirable characteristics of a fuse element? So first one is the material used for fuse wires. Okay, the material used for fuse wires must have the following characteristics. So first one, low melting point. It must have low melting point. So example, tin and lead. Next, high conductivity. So high conductivity, example, silver or copper. Next, free from deterioration due to oxidation. So free from deterioration due to oxidation. So example, silver. Next, low cost, tin, lead, tin, copper. So generally we use lead or tin or copper as fuse wire. So most of them will be using copper as a fuse wire. So based on the availability, they may be using the fuse wire. So generally lead or tin or copper are used as fuse wire. So what are the materials? Materials used are tin, lead or silver having low melting point. So use of copper or iron is dangerous. Okay, use of copper or iron is dangerous. So but we can use tinned copper. We can use tinned copper. So the materials used are tin or lead. So copper is, use of copper is dangerous. So we can use tinned copper, tin and copper, tinned copper. So fuses are classified into following types. First one is rewirable or KitKat fuse. So next one is high rupturing capacity, HRC. HRC means high rupturing capacity, cartridge fuse. Okay. So first one is rewirable or KitKat fuse. Have you seen these fuses? See the diagram. Yeah, please respond. Yeah, please respond. Have you seen this fuse? Any one of you? So here to this we are going to connect the wire. So we are going to have a wire between these pins, and this will be inserted in this one. So rewirable. So we can, once the fuse blows, we can put a new fuse wire. You can replace the broken fuse and you can rewire. So rewirable or KitKat fuse. So here these are used where low values of fault current are. So low values of fault currents are to be interrupted. So when the current values are low, we can use this rewirable fuse. Okay. These fuses are simple in construction, cheap, and available up to a current rating of 200 amperes. Up to current rating of 200 amperes, we can use this fuse, and these are available up to 200 amperes. So here their performance deteriorates with the time. So as they are not sealed, as they are due to atmospheric conditions, their performance deteriorates. Next, high rupturing capacity cartridge fuse. So this, if you see this fuse, these are available in a spike. Okay, this type of fuse you can see in the spike guard, which we use for computer or laptop. Okay. HRC fuse. So here high rupturing capacity, it is also called as HRC. HRC cartridge fuse. Okay, here. So it consists of a heat resisting ceramic body. Okay. Ceramic body. This is a ceramic body having metal caps, having metal end caps. These are the metal end caps. Okay. This is one cap. This is another cap. Metal end caps. Okay. To which a silver current carrying element is welded. So between this there is a silver current carrying element will be there, and around this you have this ceramic body. So inside this ceramic body you have a silver wire that will be welded to these two caps. Now here the space within the body surrounding the element is completely packed with a filling powder. The filling material may be chalk. Okay. So here, this is the body. Inside one, we have this what is a filling material, filling powder. Filling powder will be there in this, and the filling material may be chalk. The filling material may be chalk, plaster of Paris, quartz, or marble dust, and acts as an arc quenching and cooling medium. So here, this will cool the wire inside this one, inside this body. The whatever the silver wire is there, that will be cooled by these materials. So here, therefore, it carries the normal current without overheating. So here, even if under normal conditions, the wire, the silver wire inside this body will not get heated due to the cooling medium. So what is the cooling medium? So chalk, plaster of Paris, quartz, or marble dust. So here, therefore, it carries normal current without overheating. Under normal loading conditions, the fuse element is at temperature below its melting point. Okay. When a fault occurs, current increases. When a fault occurs here, current increases, and the fuse element melts before the fault current reaches its first peak. So here, when a fault occurs, current increases and the fuse material will melt. So here, the heat produced in the process evaporates the melted silver element. So here, due to this heat, the silver element evaporates. So first, the silver element melts and it will evaporates. So the chemical reaction between the silver vapor and the filling powder results in the formation of a high resistance substance which helps in quenching the arc. So here, the filling powder, it will so here, the chemical reaction between the silver vapor. So first, the silver element present in the body gets melted and it will form a vapor, and that there will be a chemical reaction between the silver vapor and the filling powder, and it will result in the formation of a high resistance substance. Okay, so the resistance increases and it will help in quenching the arc. So here, when a small so there is a arc formation, just like in a NCV, you have seen the arc formation between the contacts. Here also there will be a formation of arc. That arc can be eliminated by this formation of high resistance substance. See here, you have the fuse element. When a overcurrent flows, the fuse element melts and evaporates. So there is an arc formation between the contacts. So there is an arc formation. That arc formation can be eliminated by formation of a substance, high resistance substance. Okay, you can see here, fuse element, filling powder. It is made up of chalk, or there are, you can see the materials. So here, chalk, plaster of Paris, quartz, or marble dust. Okay, these are the filling materials or filling powder. So here, fuse link contact. So here, this you have two plates, end plate. This is one end plate, this is another end plate, and you have this contact. So this is about HRC cartridge fuse. So here, let us see the advantages and disadvantages of the fuse. Okay, you know that the fuse is a short piece of metal inserted in the circuit which melts when the excessive current flows through it and thus breaks the circuit. Now, advantages of the fuse. So it is the cheapest form of protection available. So what are the protection available? This is the cheapest form. Cheapest form. So if you compare the cost between the fuse and the MCB, fuse is very cheaper than MCB. So it is the cheapest form of protection available. Next, requires no maintenance. Requires no maintenance. So for MCB, you require maintenance. So sometimes if the MCB fails to trip, so there will be a huge damage. But in a fuse, there is no maintenance. So whenever overcurrent flows, the fuse melts. Very simple. Okay. So no requires no maintenance. Next, its operation is inherently complete. Here, its operation is inherently completely automatic. So whenever a overcurrent flows, the fuse melts. That is, its operation is completely automatic. It can break heavy short circuit currents without noise or smoke. So if you use a HRC fuse, no smoke. Smaller size of fuse element impose a current limiting effect due under short circuit conditions. Next, suitable for overcurrent protection. Okay. So here minimum time of operation than the circuit breaker. So here it takes so if you compare the time between the fuse and the MCB, so here MCB will take some longer time than this fuse. So in MCB you have a bimetallic strip, everything that one. But if you have a fuse, when a overcurrent flows, the fuse melts. That's all. So minimum time of operation. These are the advantages. Now coming to the disadvantages. Disadvantages of the fuse. So here considerable time is lost in a rewiring or replacing a fuse. So if you want to replace the fuse, if a HRC fuse is there, we have to replace. If you have a KitKat fuse, we have to rewire the fuse. So here consider time is lost in rewiring. Rewiring in case of fuse and replacing in case of HRC fuse. So here we are going to considerable time is lost in rewiring or replacing the fuse. So here we have to during this time when a fuse is when a fuse melts, fuse wire melts, so we have to we rewire the fuse. So we are going to have power interruption. Okay, power interruption will be there. So considerable time is lost in rewiring or replacing a fuse. Next, discrimination between fuses in series cannot be obtained. Discrimination between fuses in series cannot be obtained. Next, third one, current time characteristics cannot be always be correlated with that of the protected apparatus. So time current characteristics will be there. So here they cannot be correlated with that of a protected apparatus. Suppose if we want to protect an equipment, that equipment is the protected apparatus. So the correlation cannot be obtained. So what are the desirable characteristics of a fuse element? So first important one is low melting point. So whenever a short circuit occurs, what happens? Overcurrent flows. When overcurrent flows, the fuse melts. Why it melts? Due to temperature. So here, when the temperature increases, the fuse melts. So here, low melting point. So next, high conductivity. It must have high conductivity. So free from deterioration due to oxidation. So in our atmosphere we have oxygen. So that oxygen will react with the fuse element. So silver will not react with the fuse element. So here free from deterioration due to oxidation. So low cost. it must have low cost, like lead, tinned copper here. So fuse element materials, lead, tin, copper for small currents up to 10 amperes. So for small currents up to 10 amperes, we can use a tin or alloy of tin and lead or tinned copper. So next, for large currents, copper or silver. So copper means tinned copper. So for low currents, you can use alloy of tin and lead. For large currents, tinned copper or silver we can use. So current rating of fuse. So current rating means, so what maximum current which can flow through the fuse continuously. So current rating means maximum current which can flow through the fuse continuously. So current which the fuse element can normally carry without overheating or melting continuously. Okay, that is a, you can add continuously. You can add continuously. Next, fusing current. What is the definition of fusing current? So the minimum current at which fuse element melts or disconnect the circuit. Minimum current at which fuse element melts and disconnect the circuit is called as fusing current. So if the current is greater than fusing current, what happens? The fuse element will melt. So here the minimum current at which fuse element melts and disconnect the circuit is called as fusing current. Next, coming to the fusing factor. So fusing factor is equal to minimum fusing current divided by current rating of fuse. So next, types of fuses. So low voltage fuses. So here revariable fuse, HRC fuse will come under low voltage fuses. So here next, coming to the high voltage fuses. So here voltage, you can see the voltage. So low voltage fuses. So semi-closed revariable fuse. Next, high rupturing capacity fuse, HRC fuse. Next, high voltage fuses. Cartridge type, liquid type, metal clad fuse. So we have seen high rupturing capacity cartridge fuse. So we have another two types, liquid fuse and clad fuse, metal clad fuse. So next, coming to the circuit breaker. Now what is a circuit breaker? So as I told you that circuit breaker can make a circuit or break a circuit. Okay. Circuit breaker is a piece of equipment which can make or break a circuit either manually or by remote control under normal conditions. So here under normal conditions we can make the circuit or break the circuit. For the sake of maintenance we are going to use the circuit breaker, and here break a circuit automatically under fault condition. Okay, so first one is make or break a circuit either manually or by remote control under normal conditions. Under normal condition during maintenance. So this condition occurs during maintenance. If you want to do the maintenance for the equipment, we can break the circuit and we can remove the equipment and we can do the maintenance like transformer. If you want to do maintenance for a transformer, you can change the oil and you can place the transformer. Again, you can switch on the supply. So here during maintenance case, you can make or break a circuit either manually or by remote control under normal conditions. Next, second one, break a circuit automatically. So break a circuit automatically under fault conditions. When a fault occurs, so circuit breaker, if you take a miniature circuit breaker, it is also a circuit breaker, but small, low voltage. So you are going to have circuit breakers in the power systems, substations. So they are of high voltage and high current. So that I am talking here. So break a circuit automatically under fault conditions. So here first point is for a circuit breaker which we use for transformers, generators there. So second point, if you see here, break a circuit automatically under fault conditions. This can be done by MCB, and also very large circuit breakers will be there. You have SF6 circuit breakers, vacuum circuit breakers that are used in power systems. At home we are using MCB, so that is also a circuit breaker. Break a circuit automatically under fault conditions. Okay. Next, make a circuit either manually or by remote control under fault conditions. So here this will be studied by triple students. Under fault conditions also, we are going to close the circuit. We are going to close the circuit using circuit breaker, because most of the faults are temporary. Most of the faults are temporary. They will be cleared automatically. So 90% of the faults are temporary. So here we can make a circuit either manually or by remote control under fault conditions. So here we are going to close the circuit. Again, if the fault occurs, and again if the circuit breaker opens, we are going to check, because 90% of the faults are temporary. So here, operating principle of a circuit breaker. A circuit breaker essentially consists of a fixed and moving contact called electrodes. So already we have seen in the MCB video, there will be a fixed contact and a moving contact. Okay. Under normal operation, these contacts remain closed and will not open here. So under normal conditions, these contacts remain closed and will not open automatically until and unless the system becomes faulty. So we have seen that under overload and short circuit conditions, they will open automatically, and under normal conditions, they will be closed. The contacts remain closed. So when a fault occurs, they will open automatically. Now here, third one, when a fault occurs on any part of the system, the trip coils of the circuit breaker get energized, and moving contacts are pulled apart by some mechanism, thus opening the circuit. This already we have seen in the MCB. I will send the link. Okay, you can download and you can listen once again. So when the contacts of the circuit breaker are separated under fault condition, okay, an arc is struck between them. You have seen in the video an arc formation, you have seen. Okay, and this arc has to be extinguished. This arc has to be extinguished to avoid the continuity in the current flow. So the current flows in the form of an arc, okay, that has to be extinguished. So here classification of circuit breakers: oil circuit breakers, air blast circuit breakers, SF6 circuit breakers. So if you go any substation, you are going to see this SF6 circuit breaker, and industries also you can see SF6 circuit breaker, vacuum circuit breaker. So here you can see this SF6. Nowadays, SF6 circuit breakers and vacuum circuit breakers are used more compared to other. So here these air blast circuit breakers are not using nowadays. These are also in old substations you may see this one, but nowadays we are using only these two, SF6 circuit breaker and vacuum circuit breaker. If you see any industry, you can see this SF6 circuit breaker or vacuum circuit breaker. And even at power systems, at substations also, you can see this SF6 circuit breakers and vacuum circuit breakers. So remaining I will discuss in the next class. Okay. So let me take the attendance. What about 75, 76? Number 75 absent.